Good evening. My name's David Tout, and I'd like to welcome you to this evening's Cabinet meeting. In a moment, I'm going to ask my colleagues on the Cabinet to introduce themselves, and as they do so, to let us know whether they have any items of interest that they need to declare as part of the agenda. For my own part, I have none. But I'll start with my deputy, Steve Holt.
Good evening, everybody. Councillor Steve Holt, Devonshire Ward, Deputy Leader of the Council, and also Cabinet Portfolio Holder for Finance and Audit. Apologies all. And I have no declarations of interest.
Thank you. As I see people on the screen, Alan. You're on mute, Alan. You're still on mute.
Yeah,
that's better.
Councillor Alan Shuttleworth, Councillor for Langley Ward and Cabinet Member for Direct Assistance Services, which covers amongst its responsibilities housing. I'm not sure I'm a member of the Bedford Road Project Board, but I don't think that is a problem, but I'll declare that at this point in the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Margaret.
Margaret Bannister. I'm Ward Councillor for Devonshire Ward. I'm Portfolio Holder for Tourism and Enterprise, and I've got nothing to declare.
Thank you. John.
Jonathan Dow. I'm Ward Member in Old Town, and I'm Lead Member for Climate Change, and I have nothing to declare.
Thank you. Becky.
Councillor Whippy, I'm a Ward Councillor at St Anthony's Ward, and I'm Lead for Equality and Fairness and Community Safety, and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. And Colin.
Colin Swansborough. I'm Hampden Park Councillor, and I Lead Member for Police Services and Special Projects, and I have no interest to declare. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Could I ask when officers speak if they'd be kind enough to introduce themselves and explain their responsibilities. We're going to go into the agenda now, the first item of which the minutes of the meeting that we held on the 10th of February 2021. Is it your wish that I sign those as a true and correct record of proceedings virtually for the time being, and when I'm allowed to physically?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
There are no apologies for absence. We've dealt with issues around declarations of interest. Simon Russell informs me that there are no questions from members of the public. There are no urgent items of business. And we've not received any requests from other councillors to address the Cabinet this evening. The order of business will remain as published on the order paper. We've only one real item on the agenda today. It's split into two parts. So there is the opportunity for us to discuss, if we wanted to, the commercial aspect of this, the financial aspects in terms of figures in confidential session, because there are certain commercial sensitivities around that. But if people don't want to discuss that, we can end the meeting at the end of the discussion on item 7. Item 7 is new housing development. Housing is probably one of the biggest challenges for Eastbourne Borough Council. We have targets set by national government who have committed to increase the housing supply, and those targets are considerable in terms of the size for a council of Eastbourne's size, and with the difficulties we face of very little in the way of developable land, and of course the sea that means that we can't expand in that direction at all. We do of course have the need for more housing, particularly affordable housing. When I was younger, certainly those who took out a mortgage when I was young were probably paying something like a house price of 2.5 to 3 times their salary. In Eastbourne now, the average house price can be something in the region of 10 times the average salary. It's very, very difficult for people to get that first step on the housing ladder, and it's incumbent upon us as a council to do all we can to ease that burden. So we have a housing development programme in front of us. I'm going to hand over to Alan Shuttleworth, who's Cabinet Member responsible for housing, to introduce the paper to us. Alan, over to you.
Thank you, David. And basically, the paper is setting out an update on our new housing development programme. And as Cabinet members will appreciate, the Borough Council recently approved its housing revenue capital programme, which includes an ambitious programme, including a lot of affordable housing, in total something in the region of 200 new homes to be built over the next 3 years. And as you said yourself, David, housing is a really important priority for this council, and in particular providing affordable housing for rent. There's no doubt that there are many people, many Eastbourne families living in crowded situations, and many people in high levels of need, and it's really important that we provide new houses where we can. And you've mentioned the restrictions on that already, because it's not so easy in a town, as you say, that is bordered by the sea, the downs, the Pevensey levels, and therefore our concentration is obviously on the built environment, looking at brownfield sites that we can build on. And on that point, I will make the point that our neighbouring authority, Wealdon Council, are trying to solve their targetry by building on the green fields, the farmland all around our borders, which is not the way forward in my view. And I think that the programme that we're going to look at in a moment, I'm going to ask Sarah to present in a moment, it is looking at sites that we've either owned or acquired where we are building within the built environment in the town. And another aspect of that, if I could pull out, is that we are very committed under the Eastbourne 2030 carbon neutral targetry in the town to include as much sustainable development, enough new modern developments, if you like, to focus in on the importance of making sure the properties that we build are affordable for people, and looking at issues around energy conservation and the like. So as we go through, in a moment when I invite Sarah just to make the presentation, that's an aspect that you will undoubtedly pick up on. So what I'm going to suggest, David, is that we first of all go through the presentation and pick up on any questions as we go through, and then pick up on the recommendations at the end of that, because I think it will make more sense to members if they've seen the presentation to understand what the recommendations are about. And one other comment to make is that obviously a lot of these things will be coming back to Cabinet when they've been worked up further, and indeed in one or two cases some of these are going forward as planning submissions, so there'll be more opportunities for the public to be consulted on some of these schemes. But I'm going to invite, with your blessing, Sarah Roberts, the Commercial Business Project Manager for the Council, to introduce the presentation. And I know we've also got Nathan on the call, Head of Commercial Business and Development, to answer questions if needed. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Alan. And as he said, if everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Sarah Roberts, Commercial Business Team Project Manager. My responsibilities are around stakeholder management and the communications for our team. So I'm just going to share my screen with you now. Hopefully everyone can see this. Excellent, thank you. Right. So first of all, if I can just remind you all of the corporate target that was set by yourselves, the corporate plan target for 2020 to 2024 around housing and development. So we would like to work alongside residents to deliver decent, safe and well-managed housing, meeting the needs of residents by investing in our homes, creating communities that work, helping our tenants with energy bills as we take steps to make council homes more environmentally sustainable, and responding to homelessness and housing needs through maximising the provision of new affordable housing. So based on that, the commercial business team obviously had a large task ahead of them to look to see what we could do within the town, based again on those restrictions that Alan and David have previously mentioned. So if I can bring us first to Bedford Well Road, this is a project that I'm sure everyone is well aware of. The planning was in planning as we speak. We've had a pre-planning consultation with residents. If those approvals go through and are successful, we're looking at approval hopefully this June, which should see us starting on site August 2021 with a completion on site in August 23. So it's a mixture of homes. There's 103 homes there. They're a mixed tenure, so this is quite an unusual step for us as a council. We're looking at a mix of market sale homes, of shared ownership homes and affordable rented homes. That gives us a really great mixture, which will hopefully lead to a more easily managed community within there. So it's going to be, hopefully again with those 103 homes, will make a significant impact on that demand. It will help us with those homelessness issues that we've already addressed. The viability of the scheme is challenging, and hence that market sale that we're looking at to improve that market within the viability within the scheme. We as a council have a drive to retain that pump house, which again creates some financial issues. The scheme is going to be all electric with air heat source pumps. It's based on a fabric first approach, which is a word you're going to hear me say quite a bit throughout this presentation. We'll be looking at cycle paths through the site and some traffic calming to enable some pedestrians and cycleway and encourage that within the development. It will have an industrial feel, so an urban feel to reflect on that, on the pump house and the whole site, linking it nicely through to the town. So Bedford Well Road. So I'm going to move on to the law courts. So again, the council acquired this site in partnership with Homes England. It was a site that was standing empty following the MOJ moving the law courts from Eastbourne. We've demolished the site in preparation for us to build on there. And we're now drawing up a scheme which will hope to see a development of 35 homes, which will be a mixture of 1 and 2 bedroom flats. Again, it'll be a fabric first approach, and the ground floor we're looking to be designed for wheelchair access properties. We will be going out to the neighbourhood consultation pre-planning, hopefully in June, which will see us be able to do a planning application at the end of June, which will then hopefully enable a possible start on site in June 2022. With a completion early January 2024. Southfields Road, again, the site I'm sure everyone knows, it's along by the post office, the old car park there. We've recently received planning permission for that for 19 flats. It's a mixture of 1 and 2 one-bedroom and 17 two-bedroom flats. Again, with the ground floor looking at a wheelchair accessible flat. We're looking at various sustainable features on this site to include renewable heating, a green roof, PV, and again, all electric. We're looking for cabinet approval, hopefully in July, which would enable a start on site in November 2021 and a completion spring 23. Moving on to North Avenue and Cavalry Crescent in Old Town. So as I'm sure some of you are aware we're at pre-planning consultation at the moment. It actually concludes tomorrow. So thank you very much to those that have commented and given their thoughts on the site so far. We'll be taking those as we move forward. So the site incorporates the demolition of 8 HRA homes that are currently there, a few of which have been long-term voids. The scheme will then be developed by us as the council to provide 20 new homes. That mix will be 6 houses and 14 flats. And one of those homes, we're looking at a dedicated 4-bedroom fully adapted home, which is a real lack and real need for us within the town at the moment. So we are working with those residents that are currently in situ to help financially support those as with move-on accommodation or move back if that's the option that they want to move forward with. The site is going to have car charging capabilities. We've got an all-electric site again, fabric first, air source heating, solar panels, and some communal growing garden orchard style space for residents on the site. So again, it's a really exciting delivery for us as a council. Moving on to Fort Lane. This is a brownfield site which has been, with the demolition and the contamination costs, it's made the scheme previously unviable. However, Homes England are now offering grants for stalled sites with those challenging upfront costs. So we're preparing a bid at the moment, which we hope to submit very soon, which could enable a start on site as early as this autumn 2021. We're exploring possibilities for 6 homes on that site for a community-led scheme, possible of custom or self-build, are being sort of looked at the moment, again with the backing of Homes England and additional monies that are available around those schemes. So garage infill sites. So I think this is, we'll know there's been some challenges that have looked at us for the last few years and different ways that we can approach these sites. So we're looking at 3 at the moment. The first one here is Biddenden Close. So we're working currently really closely with Eastbourne Community Land Trust. They're looking at delivering 5 modular build homes for that site, and looking at various ways that they can include the community right from the beginning on funding and housing people as possibly at lower rents as possible within that development. Next, we've got Timberley. Again, we as a council are looking at a modular build for that site due to the restrictions. So with modular, where they deliver the prefabricated on site, a lot of issues can be resolved. And then finally, we've got Breed. So this is a completely different angle for us that we're looking at as a team. We're looking at a creative solution. And we hopefully will be able to gain approval from you from this evening, which will allow us to start on site as little as the next few months' time. Given this site and the location, it's proved previously really hard to provide value for money on that site. So this is a pilot for a new approach for us. It's a small local developer, which hopefully could open up other difficult sites within the town. So we're quite excited about that idea. So finally, onto Langley Road. This is being delivered via our aspiration homes. So the first for Eastbourne for this, they're on site. The modules are in the factory. We look to complete these as early as this October 2021. It's 12 homes, 1 and 2 bedroom masonettes. Again, modular, fabric first, and all of that comes with that build. It's got a local label agreement in place, a training program, apprenticeships, and it's been built in New Haven. We're also looking to involve the local school as a naming competition at the moment, and whether or not we can perhaps do some assemblies and bring in the local school within that. So they're all of our sites. So to conclude, hopefully you can see that we've looked at your agenda that you set, and that we've looked to hit those targets that you set with a pipeline to deliver 200 homes by 2024. All of those sustainability features that I've spoken about will help us hit that zero carbon target for 2030. With the exploring of different housing delivery options, so the market sale, the shared ownership, the rented homes, and with a continued focus on that community-led housing, and a mixed approach to development and construction. So whether or not it's traditional build, modulars, or if the new sort of local agreement that we're looking at the moment will hopefully utilise all of those modern methods of construction. So that's me done. So thank you very much for the time, and I'm happy for Nathan and I to address any questions that you may have. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And that was a very, very impressive run through of a number of schemes, and I believe it really demonstrates the ambition that we've got to deliver on the housing agenda within the town. And thank you, and Nathan and the rest of the team, for everything that you've done on that. Steve, I know you want to just come in because I think you need to declare an interest having listened to the presentation.
Yes, thank you, David, and likewise, Sarah, Nathan, excellent presentation and really interesting. I just wanted to alert members, and apologies to Oliver and to Simon and to everybody else, to say that I don't have a sort of pecuniary interest, but I may have a personal interest, as my property is on Victoria Drive, which is relatively close to Calvary Crescent, and certainly talking about garages and bits and pieces perhaps for the future. So for the sakes of full transparency, declaring a personal but non-prejudicial interest in this matter.
Thank you, Steve. I'm sure that'll be noted. Right, I'm going to move to questions. Can I ask people to avoid any questions or comment that deal with the commercial financial aspects of this, which I say, if people do want to discuss that, we can take that in confidential session, because it to take it in open session could prejudice the council's negotiating ability on certain issues. So other than that, any questions? John, yours first hand, I see.
Thank you, David. Yes, not so much a question, just a statement, I suppose, really, that, you know, from my point of view, in my role, seeing the environment and sustainability on the table with the same weight as finance and the importance of housing is really what I wanted to achieve out of my role. I appreciate we can't, you know, prioritise one particular area of a number of different priorities within the local authority, and just to have that at the fore, for me, is really impressive. We've got sustainability, not just in electric and air source heat pumps, but also the cycle paths, promoting the modal shift we need to see across the borough. I think we've got a variety of tenures, accommodation size, design with disability in mind, EV charging, solar, community gardens, and with the fabric first and modular, giving some of the most sustainable in their build. So I'm really impressed. I think this is across borough. This isn't any particular ward. I think you've done a fantastic job. I think it's all in a timely manner. I think we're doing things now, which is, I think, is really important for local authorities to be seen to do that. I appreciate, particularly when you think about the Calvary Crescent one, which obviously is in my ward, the design is one of the main criticisms that have come out of this, where people are saying it's not a particularly attractive design. And whilst, I mean, I'm not in any way creative, so I couldn't say that one design's any more attractive than another. I accept the fact that there will be people who will like it and there will be people that don't. But the fundamentals are, we do need to deliver housing. We need to deliver it in a sustainable way. We need to maximise the use of the space that we have in our town, as David alluded to at the very outset. We've got the English Channel on one side, the South Downs behind us, and then Wilden building up to our borders, and we're not blessed with an awful lot of space. We've got to do the best we possibly can, which is where I think you have done that. I'm really impressed. I think it's absolutely excellent. and I'm really excited about it. So thank you very much. Excellent presentation.
Thank you very much, John. Any other comments or questions for Sarah, Nathan? Don't see any hands at all, so I'm going to return to Alan to ask him just if he wished to say any concluding comments and take us through the recommendations.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Sarah, for the presentation. I think it's probably best if we just go through the officer recommendations. I mean, first, I'll just endorse what Jonathan just said, that I think the fact that there are so, and just listening to him list all the aspects in there of sustainability just brings home the fact that you know, this programme actually is not only ambitious in the sense of trying to provide housing, but ambitious in driving forward the whole agenda around carbon neutral 2030 and all the energy efficiency you know, measures that we'd want to see in there. In terms of the recommendations, the first one there obviously asks us to note the progress on the housing revenue account, which is straightforward. The second one refers to the garage sites at Bree Close, Timberley Road and at Fort Lane. I don't know if going through, we need to just ask if anybody needs any clarification on the recommendations one at a time. Or indeed if Nathan wants to add anything as we go through. Perhaps that might be a better way of doing it, David. Nathan, as you're in on the meeting, perhaps you could take us through the recommendations so members are clear about what they're voting for.
Fine.
Excellent. Sure, thank you, Alan. So Nathan Thompson, Head of Commercial Business and Development. Evening, everybody. So happy, Alan, to take members through broadly the recommendations, and then obviously happy to take any questions whilst you're going through. So recommendation one, as you say, we're just asking members to note the progress of the work that Sarah very well took us through in her presentation. In terms of some of the specific sites, as you say, most of them will need to come back in one form or another to this cabinet for approval. There are a small number that we are looking to get a decision on now to take them to the next stage. So Breed Close, we are in a position to enter into a development agreement and get that on site as soon as we can. Timberley Road and Fort Lane, we would be looking to progress those through to tender as we have planning on both of those sites, and we would be looking to come back to this cabinet for further approval before we appoint a contractor. As part of that, we are also asking for Cabinet to confirm the transfer of the land at Biddenden Close to the Community Land Trust, and to also note that if for whatever reason outside of the CLT's control they're unable to take that site forwards, although we are working very hard to try and support them, we obviously want to see that site coming forward for housing regardless. So to make sure that that site is protected and that in that position, the council will then take that forward itself. We've then got the Cavalry Crescent scheme that is still very much in feasibility. And as you know, and as Sarah has said, we are currently in the very end of the public pre-planning consultation now. We will be reflecting upon those comments and going into planning where there'll be a further round of consultation, at which point we will again be coming back to Cabinet for approval before we tender. So it is to continue to take it through that feasibility. We've then got a recommendation number 6, which is delegations around those sites and to be able to allow officers to take those forwards. We're also asking for Cabinet, given the size and ambition of that pipeline, to approve a slight increase to the existing feasibility budget, where we use that as a revenue fund to support the survey work and all of the professional services until we have an approved project. As you can see, the pipeline is fairly ambitious right now, so we are struggling a little bit with that budget. So we're asking for a small increase, but as soon as we have a project approved, all costs will be capitalised and that funding becomes open again. And also then just to note, as part of that pipeline, that we will be looking to deliver modular as a staple of what we do. and as has been reflected, and we will be looking to come back to Cabinet in the near future around our plans to procure a modular provider over a 4-year period to take forward a small number of these sites. I think that sums it up as much as I can, Alan, but I'm happy to take any questions if there's any more clarity needed. Thank you.
You're muted, Alan.
I'm happy to move the recommendations as they are in the report there for the purpose of the meeting. You're muted, Dave.
Thank you. It's fun, this, isn't it? Could I ask Cabinet colleagues, please, whether they're happy to agree the recommendations? Can I see those in favour?
Agreed.
Thank you. That sounds it's unanimous to me, but I'll just check if there were any against. There were none. So that's approved. Can I ask colleagues if there anybody wishes to discuss the pink paper, which has the financial details on of the projected cost? Nobody does, and so I believe that concludes our business. Thank you very much indeed for your time this evening.